All right, guys, welcome to an interview I have here with Dominic, Lucy, and Luke, where today I'll be just asking a bunch of questions of how to get started in performing arts. What's important, what's interesting, and I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions. There's about 30 plus questions here today, and that's pretty much what we're going to be doing today. Dom, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dominic. I'm in the performing arts industry, so I act, I direct, I teach. I teach a lot. I teach singing and acting mostly, and I direct. So I've done a bunch of things over the past
decades.
You
look younger than you are, so you got to mention decades.
Thank you.
You're actually really old. Anyway, we're going to just start with a bunch of questions. They'll be sort of quick fire. You just answer as long as you like and all of that.
Okay.
Right? So,
sure.
On the topic of getting started, how do you get started in the performing arts as an actor, singer, or dancer?
How do you get started? Well, I think there are many ways. I don't think there's any one specific way, but I will just say generally, find a group online. Lots of these performing arts groups have their own Facebook pages. Just like the pages, check what they say. Sometimes there are auditions. I think you can actually just send them a message and say you'd like to find out more. And usually these groups are very open and they welcome anyone to join them. So I think that's how you can just start. Or maybe in school, if you have a group in school, a club, a drama club, if you're still in school or in college. Or if you're working, you can always just drop by and watch a show and then stay back and then talk to anyone who was in the show. I mean, I think if you really want to get started, you just have to speak to people, and if you're shy to talk to them face to face, then go online in many ways. But if you want to get started, just do it. I don't think you should think about when the right time is. Just talk to someone, and then whoever it is should be able to lead you into onto some path just to get started.
Yeah, and just to check, these groups, do they exist like generally around the world? Like in the US and the UK and in smaller countries?
Yeah, they do. They're big groups, small groups. So whatever group you think appeals to you more, and they exist everywhere. I mean, I don't think it's specific to any region. Just check out whatever group is near you, and Facebook can help you check all these things.
All right. And on another point, how important is getting a degree in performing arts?
How important is getting a degree? First of all, I know it's not cheap to get a degree in performing arts, especially if it's not something that you chose to study. So a lot of people don't have a degree in performing arts, but they're still in performing arts and they're still doing well. So I would say, based on this, it is important if you want to teach or if you want to really get into it professionally, in the sense that you want to train people. I think a degree is more important if you want to teach, but if you want to be a performer, it's more of it's something to enhance or to elevate your skills, but not necessary to be in the performing arts. So I would say if you don't have a degree, it's not something you should be stressed about. But if you have the chance to get a degree in performing arts, I would say go for it.
Okay, next question. Let's say I'm an adult, 30 plus. Can I get started in the performing arts when I'm already an adult? Is it possible to start late and catch up?
Well, yes. I think no matter how old you are, if you have a goal in life, just go for it. I don't think it's impossible. It might be harder to pick up some things, but there are always roles in shows for older people, and I think they're always looking for older people to play these roles. And you can pick up skills along the way. Even if you're older and you're starting late, you might discover that you have a talent for acting and singing and dancing, or one of these. So you never know. I think it's worth trying. And if you end up not liking it, then you're old enough and wise enough to live life as how you've always lived it in the past.
All right, a question from younger people.
Okay.
My parents don't support my dreams. What can I do?
when your parents don't support your dreams, it's a tricky question. But I think sometimes parents know best, so it's good to just listen. They might want you to think more about what you're doing. So if they don't support you, I think either, it depends what kind of parents you have. Try and convince them by talking to friends who have gone through this or who are in the performing arts, and then ask them what it's like. I think you can convince parents, or you can convince your parents. If you have difficult parents, I would say maybe just slowly ease your way to the performing arts. Find small things, small projects to do. Mix around with more friends who are in the performing arts, and from there, I think your parents should be able to support you gradually. Well, I think when it comes to these things, it needs more time, to convince parents. It's a tricky question, but I think if you are a parent and your child is interested in this, it's something worth exploring. If you're a child and your parent is not supporting you, then, like I said, just be patient, get your information right, make sure you know what to say to your parents, and find out as much as you can from friends.
All right. Let's say I'm now starting to get into the performing arts. Should I take classes or go straight into auditioning?
Both ways could work. Taking classes is always a good thing. I think, like any field, whatever knowledge you can gather, that's just going to benefit you regardless. So take classes if you can afford it, and if you have time, I think you should. Even if you think you're good at something, it's good to always to keep learning no matter what. You can also go straight into an audition and try your luck. Some people do that, and then they end up being really successful, and then they start taking classes afterwards. So I think it depends. You could go straight into an audition and say, this is my first time, I've never done anything like this, but I'd like to try it out. And who knows, you might get into a show, and then things will work out well. If not, well, if you can afford classes, I would say yes, go for classes.
Okay, so where do I look for auditions if I'm new?
Where do you look for auditions? Well, I think everything's on social media nowadays. Facebook and Instagram, that's where people post a lot of their audition calls, the notices. So you have to know where all these groups are on Facebook and Instagram. You need to follow them, or you need to like them, and stay in touch, because there's no one real place to find all the information you want. Some cities have a central website, so it depends where you are, and if you're in a bigger city with a bigger performing arts industry, then you could just Google and see if there's a central website to look up for auditions. If not, I would say just keep going onto Facebook and Instagram, like or follow one of them, and then see who else they follow. I'm sure they'll follow other groups, and then once in a while an audition notice will come up, and I think that's the easiest way nowadays.
Okay, now on a more professional side, is there a difference between a performing arts CV and a regular going to work at an office CV? And what should you and shouldn't you put on your performing arts CV and resume?
Okay, so when it comes to a CV, I would say, yeah, there's a difference between a performing arts CV and a regular CV. If you are preparing a performing arts CV, I would highlight, like in my performing arts CV, I highlight all the shows I've done. And nowadays, I think people get your CVs through email, so I try to put a link to the shows that I've been in, so they can see me performing, so it adds value to that. I list the shows, I list the skills that I have, so if I can sing, if I can play the piano, if I can play the saxophone, all these things should be added in your performing arts CV. So whatever skills you have, even if it's technical, like drawing and designing, sometimes it's useful for performing arts companies. If it's other things like juggling, for example, or I don't know, any special skill, saying the alphabets backwards, anything that is unique. I think that's what you should put in your performing arts CV, because you never know when people might find that interesting enough to use you in a show. So in a regular CV, I think you would put less of these things. You would put more of your education background, your previous jobs, positions that you've held. These are useful information in a performing arts CV, but not really the main focus. Yeah.
Is there anything you should never put on a performing arts CV?
You should never put on a performing arts CV. Well, do not put too many of your own pictures, so you don't look very self-indulgent. So I've received CVs with like 10 headshots, 10 different headshots, different expressions, and I think that's not necessary. I think I'm more interested in what you've done and the shows that you've been in and the skills that you have, and I don't really need to see lots of pictures. So yeah, that's a very common thing I see in lots of performing arts CVs. I don't need all your headshots, your 20 different headshots.
Speaking of headshots, do you need a headshot, and what makes a good one?
You need a headshot. I think you really need a headshot. You need to get a good headshot. A headshot should look professional, because it is sometimes the first impression people get of you and how you look like. So always check online what you need to do for a headshot, especially the size of the headshot. It can vary in different sizes, and depending where you are in the world, the size of the headshot and the requirement for the size could be different. So just check online what size they should be in. Usually it should be in color. Sometimes people do it black and white, but I think color nowadays is the way to go. And it should be a very neutral expression, nothing too big, nothing too small. But it is important, because I think even if they don't ask for a headshot, it's good to just give a headshot.
All right, so now that I'm going to an audition, what can I expect to happen at an audition?
So at an audition, it depends what you're auditioning for. But generally, say if you're auditioning for a musical, you would expect to have to sing, to dance, and to act. Usually, very commonly, in auditions, you would have to prepare 1 or 2 monologues, contrasting monologues. So they would usually specify if the monologue needs to be from a certain era or a certain style. So you need to prepare the monologue based on what they ask. And usually they'll say 1 or 2 minutes. I think that's the standard, 1 to 2 minutes. Nothing too long, nothing too short, and something that is good enough to showcase what you're good at in acting. Same goes with singing. If you're required to sing, you would have to usually prepare 2 songs. They would usually tell you how long, like 8 bars, 16 bars of a song. And if you don't know what 8 or 16 bars means, then you should speak to a friend who knows music. It's really simple. So they don't want you to sing the whole song. Usually they don't ask you to sing the whole song, because by the time they hear your 8 bars or 16 bars, they can tell whether you can sing in tune and what kind of technique you have and what kind of style you have vocally. If you're asked to dance, usually there'll be a choreographer who will lead you through some steps. Very quickly you'll have to pick up the moves, and then either they ask you to perform it in front of them line by line, or in small groups, or individually, depends on what they want. But yeah, you usually have to prepare monologues, songs, and come in comfortable clothing. You have to expect to do lots of movement. Sometimes in auditions they would ask you to do improvisation exercises, and they might throw challenges at you, like they might give you scenarios and ask you to role play. They might give you group work on the spot just to see how you work well with other people, see how well you work with the people in the audition room. They might also interview you. They might ask you questions, so that could be quite common in auditions, depending where you are or what company auditions you. You can also expect sometimes auditions to be done with just you and the panel sitting in front of you in a room. Sometimes it could be a group an open audition where you're performing your monologues and songs in front of everyone else who's auditioning. So you should kind of expect these things just in case.
Okay. How do you make a good first impression at an audition?
First good impression at an audition. So I can tell you how not to make a good first impression based on my experience. I've seen people walking in late, so that's bad. So that means always be on time. Never walk in late. Always be nice and greet whoever's there. Do not walk in feeling proud and trying to act overconfident. This I've seen many times. So just be neutral, come in, say hi, and just wait to be told what to do. So don't try and take charge of the whole space and be bigger than everyone else who's around you. Just blend in. You want to stand out, but you don't want to stand out in a bad way. So the thing that happens at auditions that many people don't tell you is the moment you step into the audition and you sign in, if you have to sign in, you are already being watched and observed, and there's always someone who's there on behalf of the production team to just keep an eye on you. So if you do something while waiting for your turn, for example, if you're waiting with everyone else and you're like interrupting their rehearsal, their practice, if you are being rude to people, if you're being snobbish, if you're whatever it is that you're doing disruptive outside of the audition while you're waiting, people will usually tell the director or the producer that this is what you did outside, even though you were nice to them inside the room. So always walk into the audition being professional, being calm, and not drawing too much attention to yourself. Just be neutral. So I think all these things help you make a good first impression. And when you walk into the audition room, just say hi, good morning or good afternoon, and see what they say to you, and then have a conversation with them. But do not try and oversell yourself, because that can be bad and annoying.
All right, now after the audition, what should I do after the audition? Do I follow up?
So there's this joke among performers where if they tell you, don't call us, we'll call you, that usually means don't call us because we don't want to call you and we don't want to speak to you after this audition. So if you hear something like that, it could be a joke, but it could also be something serious and they really don't want you to call them back. So don't follow up if they say that. I think just respect that, because you don't want any awkward situations after that. Should you follow up? I think you can drop an email to whoever you're in contact with to sign up for the audition. You can, in like maybe 1 or 2 weeks after the audition, just say, hi, I would like to know if there's anything else I should follow up with after this audition. What should I know? Should I be prepared for a callback? Usually if it's a professionally organized audition, if it's something that has been planned well, they should tell you in a day or two, or the most a week, whether you are required to come back for a callback. Some companies do the callback on the day itself. Some do it. So a callback is after you've been to an audition, they usually call you back for a second round. So that's called a callback. Some callbacks are held on the same day. Some are held like the next day. Some are held like a week or a month later. I think you could follow up and just ask, is there a callback that I should be aware of? Or it's just politely ask. I think that's fine, but don't push it. So if they tell you no, there's nothing you should know, or if sorry you're not chosen, then I think you should just leave it.
Okay, another point on auditions. Sometimes you're not around. So is having a video showreel important? And what do you look for in the video if you're accepting video showreels?
I think having a showreel is a good idea. It's not easy to make one because you would have to make sure you have video recordings of all your past shows. But if you manage to get all that together and create a showreel, that's really good. I think sometimes people do ask for your showreels. So if you can't make it for an audition, you could suggest to them, "Hi, I have a show reel. Would you like to see my show reel instead?" And I think there's no harm in just asking that. If they say no, then it's a no. If they say yes, then at least you have one ready. Sometimes they may ask you for a show reel and you don't want to say, "Sorry, I don't have one." It would be good if you could tell them, "Yeah, I have one and here it is. This is the link to my show reel." I think that's why you should always have one prepared. So if you have videos of your previous shows, you should get someone to help you put them together, get extracts and little snippets of each of your shows. Something about 2 minutes long would be good. I have received show reels when I audition people for shows, and most of the show reels I get them because of cases like this where people cannot attend the audition. Some companies accept show reels, some don't. You just need to ask. What I look for is basically what I would look for in an audition, whether you can sing, dance and act. I would look for your personality through all these things, and I would also see how well you performed in those shows. Of course, you can't get a lot from the show reel. You can only see what's given to you in the show reel. So do expect to be contacted personally after you submit your show reel. Someone from the company might want to interview you further if they like what you see. But yes, always try to aim to get yourself a show reel. I think that's a very good idea.
All right. So in terms of getting hired, can I get hired if I've never taken a single class or lesson? Is natural talent, in quote marks, enough?
There's no real answer to this. I think natural talent is good, and if you're naturally talented and you're confident enough to use that natural talent, I think use it, go for it, do whatever you can with it. Some people will be jealous of your natural talent, but be proud of it, but don't show off. If you feel you do not have natural talent, then go for a class, because I think everyone has some talent in them, and you never know, you might discover it later on in your life through guidance and through training. So you can get into a show even if you've never had a class in your life, but I think training is always a good idea regardless. So even if you have natural talent and you are confident enough to use it, still take classes. You can get into a show with natural talent, but I think it reaches a point where you still need to get yourself trained, because there'll be technique that you need to know. There's going to be lots of other things in a production, in a show, that you need to know that natural talent cannot teach you.
Okay, in terms of taking classes, is learning how to read music or play an instrument important as a singer?
So if you want to be a good singer, reading music is important. I think it is necessary. Lots of singers don't read music, and that's fine. But if you want to be better, reading music and having the skill of reading music well is something that would be very beneficial. It will help you a lot, and it will make you stand out among many other singers. It will also help you progress faster in a rehearsal, because if you are given a music score, if you're given the sheet music, you will be able to instantly know what to sing and how to sing it, as opposed to a singer who comes in who has no idea what to do with the sheet music. So I've been in shows where there are singers who can read music and cannot read music, and you can actually see that those who do read music pick up the music so much faster than those who don't. And it's easier to work with people who know already how to read music, because then you can move faster, you can get into the more necessary, important things in the show, like music direction and just getting the show together more quickly. And I think professionally in the world, the standard is that you should, and it's assumed that as a singer you should already know how to read music. And if you don't know how to read music, I think it's a good idea to get started on it. So as a singer, reading music is important. Playing an instrument is also important, the same thing. Especially if you can play piano, I think that would help, because then you can help yourself learn the music. And also when you learn piano or learn any instrument, you learn musicality, you're more sensitive to the music. So as a singer, you are more aware of what the music should feel like and how it should flow and how you should sing it as a singer. So I think just being more musically aware of everything by learning an instrument and learning how to read music, I think will make you better than so many other performers out there. Yeah.
All right, now, in terms of taking classes, how do you know if you've found the right teacher for you?
How do you know if you found the right teacher? It could take time. I think you'll never know if you found the right teacher until you've actually found a teacher first and go to that teacher. It takes time. I think it's like a relationship. You just need to slowly figure out whether this teacher is right for you. So that's why some teachers offer trial classes, free trial classes. Maybe not free, depending on the teacher, but if there is a trial class, I think it's good to meet the teacher first. It's like any other conversation. Just speak to the teacher, see what the teacher's philosophies are, what the teaching styles are. It might take time, so I think give it a month or two, spend some time with the teacher. If the teacher is not right for you, I think it's fair to tell the teacher, it's like any other relationship, it's not you, it's me. But I mean, it's fair enough to just tell the teacher, I'd like to try out other teaching styles if you don't mind. And probably what you can do is, at the start, just tell the teacher, I'm here to just test this out and see if it works. I am looking for a particular style of teaching maybe, or I don't know, whatever your reason is, just be honest with the teacher. And teachers usually, if they're good enough, professional enough, they should understand all this. To know if you found the right teacher or a good teacher for you, if you feel you're making progress, and if you feel that the teacher is able to guide you through your confusion and to help you understand whatever it is that you're not understanding about whatever you're learning. If you're learning singing or acting, for example, if you have questions and the teacher can guide you through it, I think you've already found a good enough teacher. But if you feel after a while that you need more from the teacher and the teacher isn't giving it to you, then it's fair enough to just tell the teacher, I'd like to explore other possibilities with other people. I don't think you'll ever find a perfect teacher, but it is important to have a good teacher, so just be aware of what's happening. The most important thing is, are you making progress? If you're not, then something could be wrong somewhere.
Now, in terms of being a performer, what other qualities are good to have besides talent and skill?
Okay, as a performer, you may have talent, you may have skill, but having a good personality is very important. Humility, being nice in general, just trying to make friends the right way. I think discipline is also very important. So you may have talent and skill, but if you're never on time for rehearsals, that's not good. If you are someone who does not listen to your director and you think you can do better and then you start arguing with everyone in the production, I think that's not good. So I think your attitude needs to be at the right place. Your personality, you need to know how to look into yourself and ask yourself, are you being nice to the people around you? And being nice does not mean to let yourself be bullied, but it also means just to be professional in the environment that you're in. So yeah, you may have natural talent and skill, but I think discipline and personality, these two things are very important. And also good social skills.
Okay, speaking of social, is social media presence important to directors and producers?
I think in this day and age, social media is important for anyone. So for directors and producers, it is important because you want to get to know more people, you want to reach out, you want to network. I use social media a lot to find out who's out there, who's doing what show, who's in what show, who's taking up singing lessons or acting classes or dancing classes. Just being a busybody, for me, that's important. And social media gives you access to a lot of information about everyone. And it's important also because it helps you connect with people, and you want people to come and watch your shows and to support your projects. And you want people to be aware of what you're doing. So your presence online in social media would help you to reach out to these people, to help them know more about what you're doing. And also it's good for you to know what other people are doing. That's how I use social media a lot.
Okay, in terms of networking and connections, how important is networking in the performing arts industry?
Very important. I think you need support. It's an industry where everyone needs to help each other, and you can only help each other if you have a network of people who can be there to help you. And networking doesn't just mean having someone's name card, but it means supporting them. So watching their shows, going for their opening nights, if they're an actor, keeping in touch with them, inviting them to your shows. All these kind of little things help, I think, because we need to have a network and a support group for each other. This also means whenever we need help, we know that there's someone out there who can help us. So I network because for several reasons. If I'm directing a show and I need people to come, at least I have a network of actors that I can say, hi, I'm having an audition, please come and audition. I think you'd have fun at the audition, just come, join me. Or I also have a network of friends who are producers, and it's good to ask each other questions like, have you faced this problem before? What did you do? I think that's useful because we all have gone through different experiences. As a director, sometimes I love to ask other directors what they would do, or ask for their input or their ideas. And as an actor, I think it's also good to have networks because also other actors might have information about auditions that you may not know about. And it's good to at least have this network to get all this information. So I think, yes, networking is very important. And putting yourself out of this network, I think is a bad idea. So keep yourself in the loop.
In terms of reputation, what's the best way to build and maintain a good reputation in performing arts?
To maintain a good reputation in performing arts, I think you really need to just sincerely, genuinely support people. Like I said, I think watching other people's shows is a good way to keep your reputation good. I mean, showing that you support the industry. I don't think you should work alone. So this kind of reputation is good. Supporting other people in their work gives you a good reputation. As an actor, I think discipline gives you a good reputation because you may have, like I said, you may have skill and talent, but discipline gives you a good reputation. Discipline and your good social skills. Being professional gives you a good reputation. Being open to improvement gives you a good reputation. Being humble enough to say, yeah, I'm not sure how to do this. I would like to find out more. I'm not a great singer. I'd love to learn how to sing. All these attitudes make you more likable, and I think it gives you a good reputation in general. I think ask yourself in any setting or in any environment, take it out of the performing arts setting. Generally, what gives you a good reputation in life, and then put that back into the performing arts setting. That should be the correct answer for you.
Okay, now in terms of being in a production, what do you do if you're unhappy in a production?
So if you're in a production and you're unhappy, there are always people that you can talk to. I would talk to the producer if the producer is really heavily involved. It depends on how the whole thing works in whatever production you're in. I think it's good to talk to the producer first, or the director. If you're not happy with the director, you should talk to the producer. If you're not happy with something else, there's always someone that you should talk to. There's always a stage manager who should be always there at every rehearsal that you could talk to about your problems if you're not happy about something. I think it is important to tell someone and not just to keep quiet about it and then wait for the right moment to explode. If you're not happy about someone else in the production, speak to, like I said, the stage manager or the director or the producer, depending on who looks after what in that production. I don't think it's a really good idea to speak to another actor and start turning your dislike towards anything in the production and turning it into gossip, and then start having different opinions among the actors, and then you split everyone up. I think it's good to speak to someone. I think being honest about how you feel is good, as long as you have a good reason for why you are unhappy about that thing. But if it's something like there's not enough money being offered to you, these things I think are things that you should settle before you even start a rehearsal. So yeah, speak to someone.
On the topic, is it okay to quit a production?
Is it okay to quit a production? I would say it's okay, but like the song says, it's not right, but it's okay. It's not something that you cannot do, but it's not good for you. So talking about reputation, it might be bad for your reputation to do something like that. I think before you before you agree to get into production, you need to make sure everything that you need is ready for you, like the right pay, the right role, the right rehearsal schedule. If all these things work well for you, you shouldn't have a reason to want to quit unless you're really unhappy about something. But if you're really unhappy about something, that's when you should talk to someone. So quitting halfway or at any point, I think is not good for you. It's not good for the production team. It can cause stress. It's happened to me several times. When it happened once we did the whole photo shoot for a show, and then after the photo shoot, a week after that, one of the actors said that he or she had to pull out and quit from the show, and it causes stress and it costs more to fix all these things. So I think it's a bit inconsiderate to want to stop halfway, but if you have a good reason, you should always speak to your producer and director. But think about it carefully, because like I said, before starting the first rehearsal, you should have everything cleared up for you. You should know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and then once you're in it, you should stick to it.
Now, to avoid the problem of quitting, is it okay if I turn down a role? And when should I turn down a role?
It's okay if you turn down a role. So if you're being offered a role, say you go for an audition and they offer you a role that you don't really feel comfortable doing, it's okay to be honest and say, sorry, it's not the kind of role I'm looking for, or I'm not comfortable playing this role, or I've read the script and it's not something I'd like to do at this point in my career or in my life. It's nice to be honest about it. When should you turn down the role? When you're offered the role and when they tell you, please get back to us. That's the period of time when you should really think about it and give them an answer and say, sorry, this is not the role I'm looking for. And it's all right to do that, and you should do that if you don't feel it's right for you.
Now, onto a skill question. What is a triple threat, and do I need to be a triple threat to be successful?
A triple threat is what we call someone who has equal skills. Well, maybe not equal, but who is comfortable singing, dancing, and acting, and can do it well, and can do it good enough to be in a show and to impress people. So singing, dancing, and acting, these are the three threats. There are lots of people who are triple threats. There are lots of people who are not triple threats. Some people are good at singing but not very good at acting. Some people are good at acting but not good at dancing. In this day and age, it's good to at least know how to do all three. You may be good at one of them, and I think if you're good at one of them, that's good. but you should also not limit yourself to that one skill. You should open up your knowledge to the other two skills. So if you're an actor, singing is a good skill to have because you can always end up being in a play where you're required to sing and you don't want to embarrass yourself. So triple threats are useful. Having triple threats in a production, it improves or increases your chances of being hired, obviously. It's not necessary, and it is difficult to be a triple threat, and it is difficult to find triple threats, but like I said, I think if you're comfortable dancing, you should also take singing classes and try acting, because to be a good performer overall, these are the three good skills that you need to have on stage. And these three skills make you more valuable to production.
Moving on to a few money questions. Can you make a living as an actor, singer, or dancer?
Well, it depends. I hear a lot of people saying no right now. You can make a living. It might be difficult, especially if you're first starting out. And I would say don't quit your day job if you have one just to be a performer yet, until you know exactly what you're doing. I do know lots of people who are making a living as performers, but I also know that a lot of these people who are performers full-time also need to teach to supplement the income, or they have many other odd jobs. So it is difficult around the world. It's just not something that you can get rich doing unless you're very good at it and you're popular and you're in demand and you're constantly doing something and you're getting paid well. So you could be doing back-to-back shows throughout the year for many years and not being paid much for each production that you're in, then, well, I would say you can't make a living doing that. But you could be really famous and you could be a celebrity and you could be a full-time actor, and all you need is one big show every few months and that makes you enough money. So there's no real answer to this. I think if you are planning on quitting your job right now just to be a full-time performer, I would say hold on, make sure you know exactly what you're doing. Or do you have backup? I think that's an important question to ask yourself just in case it doesn't work out. My answer right now is leaning more towards no. You can't really make a living being a full-time performer unless you plan it out well. So I would suggest that you perform part-time and do your job, whatever you're doing, keep it. And then as you get into more shows and you know more people and you're more comfortable, figure out what you've been earning in all your previous shows and see whether that can help you live comfortably. And if not, don't quit your job yet.
On the topic of pay, what is fair pay for actors, singers, and dancers?
Fair pay. I think you should break down what you're earning to the hour. So make sure that you're earning a decent amount for every hour that you're working in a production. So you need to find out how many hours of rehearsals you have. Professionally, it's good to know before you sign any contract how many hours of rehearsals you're required to attend and how many shows you need to be in. And from there, calculate your cost, your travel expenses, and how much you think you're worth per hour for the role that you're playing. If you're ensemble, or if you're a lead role, or you're a supporting role, take all that into consideration. Fair pay depends on which part of the world you're in and which city you're in. But generally, you should make sure that you're earning enough for every hour that you're working in the production. And it's good to ask other actors what their opinion is. So once you find out how many hours you're required to work, and they offer you an amount, divide that, see whether it's worth your time and effort. If it's not, it's okay to say no.
Should you ever work for free?
should you ever work for free? I want to say yes. You shouldn't technically, but sometimes it's good to work for free. So I'll share with you something. I have worked for free. Earlier on in my career, I've taught for free, but that was at a time when I thought it would help me get more contacts. So I did it because whoever needed my help couldn't pay, and I taught for free, thinking that it would help me. It would help me improve as a teacher, as a performer. I have performed for free also, but I would say that's case. It's a case by case thing. It's something that you need to think carefully. Is it worth working for free? Is it something that can give you? Many people might disagree, but I would say if it helps you network and you work for free, and it's something that you're comfortable working for free for, you can. Technically, like I said, you shouldn't. Professionally, you should always make sure you're being paid for whatever you do. But I will admit that I have worked for free, but it has helped me in my career because, like I said, it got me more contacts. It made me more confident, and I was at that phase where I was still trying to learn a lot about my skills, and I thought that it would help me, and it did. So that was many years ago. I worked for free. It helped me improve. It helped me get to somewhere where I couldn't have gotten on my own. So yes, that helped me. But it needs to reach a point where you need to say no to free work, and you need to be paid for whatever you do, because people are getting paid. You just need to make sure you have your share of whatever they're getting paid.
Considering I might not be getting paid that much, I can't afford any classes. What can I do to become a better actor, singer, or dancer?
So if you can't afford classes and you want to improve, it's always possible. It may not be the best way, but it's always possible to just go into an audition and get into a show, and then you could be put into a really small role, and that's how you can learn. Slowly, gradually, you'll pick things up throughout the entire rehearsal process. It may not be fair to all the other people in the production, but if they accept you into a production, it means they see something in you. So, and if you're willing to be part of the production, say yes, and then you can learn something from there. There are sometimes free workshops in many cities. People offer free workshops in community centers or in universities and schools. Look out for these things and then take a one-day workshop in something. So yeah, these are possibilities. If you still can't afford classes and you really do want to improve, watch lots of videos. That's how you can improve. Don't be afraid to try things out at home. Sing out loud at home, dance, pick up a script, find a script online, read it at home. Just, there are always ways. I believe there are always ways. If you're creative enough, just think of all the different things that you can do on your own. Or a cheap way or a free way, just gather some friends together and say, let's sing some songs together. And then the more you sing, or let's read some scripts together, the more you do these things, you will improve. You know, it's like the Sims. That thing on top of you will slowly go up. So yeah, keep doing things like that. You don't need to always pay for classes if you can't afford it, but be creative. So find friends to do it, to practice with you at home. Go for free workshops, free classes. Just be creative.
All right, now on some production side questions.
Uh-huh.
How do you get into directing?
How do you get into directing? There are many ways, I think. Sometimes there are festivals around the world where they welcome new people to try things out, or sometimes there are productions where it's catered specifically to new directors. So you do need to check out what's on social media, because that's where you find all the information. There are things for new directors. Rarely do you see workshops for people who want to learn how to direct. It's not very common, I think. But if you do see one, go for that. But like I said, there are shows for new directors. So sometimes they will have actors ready for you and scripts already written for you, and they just want people to learn how to direct and practice directing, and they'll ask you to sign up. And if you're confident enough, just sign up and say, I'm a new director, I'd like to learn how to direct or discover whether I can direct, and then try these things out. There are festivals like there's the Short and Sweet Festival where you can sign up, say I want to direct a show. No harm in trying. If you're still in school or if you're in college, join a drama club. You can always say I would like to direct or assist someone in directing. So try all these ways. If you want to direct professionally, start small. Don't aim big. Just start small. Learn as much as you can. Directing is a different ball game altogether.
So let's say I give it a shot.
Yep.
How do I be a good director?
How do you be a good director? That's a tough question because I don't know what a good director is. Technically, in my opinion, a good director is someone who can put the whole show together nicely, who has vision. So if you want to be a good director, I would say just make sure you watch lots of shows. Go and watch live shows, find videos of shows, and then pay attention to details. So I think a director has the big vision of the whole show, the entire vision, and also pays attention to all the small details and the smaller, finer things in the show. Lights, colors, scenery, sound, the environment, the text, the execution of the actors, everything. So a good director would have to pay attention to everything and to be aware of everything that's happening throughout the whole process. And a good director also needs to know how to put a rehearsal together properly and how to make sure the rehearsal goes well. And I think being an effective director means knowing how to use time well. So make sure that every second spent in the rehearsal is valuable and something is being done and something is being, that every second is productive. The actors need to always be doing something. But a good director also needs to know how to communicate with everyone else in the production, the stage managers, the crew, to make sure everyone is on the same page and to make sure that the show looks exactly how it should look like.
Now, on a slightly different side, what does a producer do?
What a producer does is, a producer usually is the person handling money. I would say that's a very broad answer, but a producer is the one who needs to make sure that there is enough money to start the production. The producer needs to produce, make sure that there's something to produce the product, and the product is the show. So the producer needs to make sure there's money. The producer needs to make sure that the right people are hired. That it's kind of like the big boss, I would say. Make sure that the theater is hired, it's the right place, it's done during the right time, the right director is chosen or hired, to make sure that the director chooses and hires the best possible actors. So the producer just needs to really look at the whole production and make sure everything is in its right place. The producer does have a big job because if anything goes wrong, the producer needs to make sure that it's fixed, and the producer needs to have the skills to fix all these things. So it's difficult being a producer, but it's also, if it's your thing, it's also a great challenge, a fun challenge.
What is a stage and a production manager, and would I need them for my show?
You would need them for your show. A stage manager has a big job, so does the production manager. So sometimes it's the same person, sometimes it's two separate people. A production manager would usually handle a lot of things like the budget, and the production manager would also make sure that everyone else in the production is doing their jobs. The production manager, like any manager in any company, manages all the people in the production. So like I said, making sure that everyone is doing their jobs, making sure that everything is on schedule, no one is wasting any time, everyone is meeting the deadlines and following the timeline. So the production manager needs to be someone who's very disciplined and to make sure that everyone else is also just as disciplined. The stage manager is someone who manages literally what's on stage. So the stage manager would be at every rehearsal to track the progress of the rehearsal, to make sure that the stage manager needs to make sure that everything is going according to what is asked for in each rehearsal. So if we're rehearsing scene 10 in this rehearsal, the stage manager will make sure that everyone is ready for this scene's rehearsal, to make sure that everyone has whatever they need, to remind people to do what they need to do sometimes. But most importantly, the stage manager will keep track of the blocking. So the blocking is it's a term for where people stand and where they're positioned on stage and where they need to walk to, where they're placed on the whole stage. So the stage manager will keep track of that during rehearsal. So if an actor needs to be on stage right in this scene and move to stage left, the stage manager should keep track of that, of all the movement on stage. The stage manager needs to make sure that the set is where it should be. And this happens from the rehearsal process all the way to the final show. The stage manager will look after the cues. So when a show starts, the stage manager will cue when the lights come on and off, when the sound effects, the sound cues come on and off, will cue if things need to come on and off stage. So the stage manager will be there cueing the crew backstage or the sound people. So to know this, to know when the lights need to come on and off or when things need to be on and off stage, the stage manager needs to be at every rehearsal so that they know exactly when all this needs to happen, because it'll be too late once the show starts, obviously. So that's why a stage manager is so important and needs to be there at every rehearsal to keep track of everything. Stage manager also makes sure that every actor is there on time, they're there during their call time. Call time is the time that you're called to be at rehearsal or to be there for a show when you're having a show. So yeah, the stage manager is there to make sure everyone is doing their job, especially the actors and the crew and everyone backstage, to make sure that everything on stage looks good.
Okay, now that we know all of that, how do you actually go about producing your first show?
How do you go about producing your first show? By that's a big task. So you need to really know what you're doing. I think if you want to produce a show, you should already be in show business, which means it's good if you've been an actor for a while, you know what it's like to be on stage. You have also worked backstage. Maybe it's good to get some experience and some knowledge. It's good to work front of house a bit, to know what happens before the audience walks into the theatre. It's good to just know how the business is run, to know lots of people. So I would say if you want to produce your first show, make sure you've been in show business for a while. And then do not do it alone. Find people who can support you. Find a really good, strong team who can work with you to produce the show with you. There's no real like producing shows for dummies book to help you. There are lots of books on producing, but it's really something that you just need to do. And like any other thing, I would say start small. So don't produce a big, humongous show as your first show, your first production. Start small. Do something really small. Produce an intimate show with maybe 40, 50 people in the audience. Find out what it's like to handle ticketing. Find out what it's like to handle marketing, publicity, the audition process, the rehearsal process. Know what it's like to go through every single thing. Once you know a bit of that, produce a small show and then gradually move to something bigger. And be ready to make lots of mistakes and to face those mistakes and to learn from them. Because when I produced my first show, I made lots of mistakes. but it just made me improve for the next show.
Now, can I put on a good show on a limited budget?
Yes. With a limited budget, I think you can still put on a good show. And I say that confidently because I have watched many shows with a limited budget and they were really good shows. I think good shows don't always need to have all the glitz and glamour on stage. I think good shows sometimes can just be really good actors on stage. And I've been to shows where it's not even performed in a theater because they couldn't afford to rent a theater. So it was just done in a small room in a shop lot, something really, really small. And I think there were only like 15 people in the audience. That's all that space could fit. But the show was really good. It was effective. It was memorable. And it was so well rehearsed that I would say it's a good show. And limited budget, so it's possible. If you have a limited budget, you need to have unlimited creativity. I think that's how it works. Just be creative in a small space. If that's all you have, you can make magic.
All right, and final question for today. I finally decided to put on a show. What's the best way to publicize or advertise my show?
To advertise and publicize your show, so many ways and so many opportunities for you to advertise your production. I would say right now the best way is to go on social media. That's where everybody is. So advertise on social media. If you want more people to know about your show, you need to talk to people. I think still having this face-to-face interaction and not being afraid to talk about your show. So if you meet a friend and say, just tell them, hi, I'm having this show coming up, please, if you can, buy a ticket or two, or invite your family. I think it's also good, word of mouth also works well. Some people think word of mouth is slow, but it is also very effective because people are more convinced when a friend talks about a show. So if you want to make your show known, you need to first be excited about the show. You need to talk to people and share the excitement with them. And when they're excited about the show, they would obviously want their friends to be excited about what they just found out about a show, and that's how word of mouth works. And then when they see it on social media, they'll be reminded about the show that a friend told them about, and I think that's very effective. People don't usually just see a show on Facebook or on Instagram and say, this looks interesting, I think I'm going to buy a ticket now, unless it's something really famous and popular or someone really famous is in the show. If they have friends who recommend the show, I think that's how it works. I think people want to know someone who is excited about the show. So sharing this excitement, that's how you market your show. I think you need to target the right people. So if your tickets are really expensive, you need to target people who can afford it. If your tickets are cheap, then you reach a wider market. So marketing your show, it covers so many things, and I'm not a marketing expert, but I would say, personally, being excited about your show and sharing that excitement with people, and sharing that excitement on your own social media, and asking people to be excited about it as well, and asking them to spread the excitement, works. That's how it's worked for me. Sometimes that's also the cheapest way to market your show.
All right, and that's a whole bunch of questions I've asked you today. Thank you so much for the answers.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say to anyone else, just broadly, people getting into performing arts, anything you'd like to say to them?
If you want to get into performing arts, I think you need to just do it. Don't think too much about it. Don't dwell too much on like, I have no talent, I think I can't do it, my friends will laugh at me, I'm not sure if I go into a class, people will laugh at me. I think just do it. If you want to go into an audition, just do it. If you want to start a class, just do it. And I say that because I started off being very afraid, but I think it reached a point where I told myself, just do it. Once you take that first step, the walk after that is easier. So just do it. If you're really afraid, get a friend to go with you. But go for that first audition, go for that first class. Watch your first show if you haven't watched a show. Just do something. Performing arts is really an exciting, fun world to be in. It's really a path of self-discovery for many people. It's a place where you find many friends who will love and accept you for who you are. It's a place where you grow as a person. So even if you have a job that has nothing to do with performing arts, try and discover the world of performing arts as something else that you could do in your day-to-day life. Yeah.
All right, that's going to be it for today.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. Bye.